We earn money, save money and buy things. Living beyond the economic cycle is impossible. What trends are dictated by world markets and how does it affect consumers? Watch it in People and Economy. In this episode you will know why we may face a shortage of meat, who helps farmers from Kazakhstan, and where the world's most expensive meat is produced. Prestige of meat is growing from year to year. The number of so-called steakhouses is increasing in many cities throughout the world. According to analysts, grilled meat nowadays has become the most popular dish of any self-respecting food outlet. Customers also have a chance to enjoy a growing range of meat products in shops. Experts know that the trends in the food consumption culture and modern rhythm of life invariably lead to the increase in consumption of meat products all over the world. Analysts think that by 2050, the global demand for meat will increase to 505 million tons, which is twice as much as today. According to the UN statistics, there are 37 kilograms of meat per each person in the world. On the average, humankind consumes almost 250 million tons of meat products. The highest rate of meat consumption, from 120 to 135 kilos per capita, is in Luxembourg, the US and Australia. In CIS countries, it is on the average 70 kilograms. The nations that eat the least meat, 3 kilos per capita, are Bangladesh, India and Burundi. To increase meat output by 2050, it is necessary to develop the agricultural sector. This vital product may be included into the list of scarce products, experts think. Urbanization, in this case, is the major stumbling block. The number of town dwellers is growing, however, few people want to work in a village. Small farms are considered the key meat producers. They produce more than 40% of meat throughout the world. Murat Baratov is one of those citizens of Kazakhstan who helps to solve the problem of food supply security. All Murat's life is linked to cattle farming. A veterinarian by profession, he chose cattle breeding as a source of additional earnings. He bought a plot of land, small cattle stock and built a cattle yard. Sometime later, he left his regular job and started to think about running his own farm.
I
have a small experience. Earlier, it was my secondary activity. I had been breeding cattle for about a decade. But at that time, I had a job and had a small stock: 100 sheep, 10 horses and 5 to 6 cows. Currently, stock farming has become my core activity. The state and local administration helped me very much with subsidies. Thanks to their assistance, my cattle stock is increasing. Murat began his farmer career from 30 cows and 1 bull. After obtaining a 9 million tenge loan from the Agrarian Credit Corporation, he purchased another 45 cows and 2 bulls. Expanding a farm posed a challenge. Breeding only 1 cow requires much effort, the farmer says. In order to raise a cow, you have to wait for about 1.5 years. It is enough for getting about 150 kilograms of meat. In general, you need about 24 months to raise a cow with a normal weight. As Murat says, the main difficulty was staff recruitment. Indeed, working on a farm is less attractive than in an office. Moreover, it is necessary to buy forage because the farm still has not enough land to grow it independently. However, despite all these pitfalls, Murat does not give up. On the contrary, the farmer plans to expand his lands. And whereas today he sells his meat at the market, in the future he wants to boost his business in produce, for example sausages or semi-prepared foods. At this moment, I'm an ordinary farmer. In the future, I'm going to expand my farm, build a cattle yard where I could increase the number of livestock and a slaughtering house. Indeed, to slaughter a cow, you need a special place and instruments. All this requires a lot of money. Nonetheless, I think that in the future I shall purchase all that.
Жағдайға қаратай болады.
In our diets, meat holds an honored position. According to the statistics, each citizen of Kazakhstan consumes almost 70 kilograms of meat products. Notably, the country is 85% self-sufficient in meat, in particular beef, mutton and horse meat. However, the situation with poultry production is worse. The development of chicken farms is being actively pursued.
Over
the last 5 years, we made significant progress towards the production of our own meat. Thus, our country produces 147,000 tons of beef, or 25 kilograms per person, approximately 150,000 tons of mutton, or 9 kilograms per person, and about 100,000 tons of horse meat, or nearly 6 kilograms per person. Whereas meat consumption in Kazakhstan remains stable over the last several years, taste preferences of local residents constantly change. Nowadays, preference is given to poultry and beef. We use beef every day in preparation of our traditional dishes. At the same time, mutton and horse meat are not so widespread. Firstly, this is due to the cultural characteristics, and secondly, due to the country's well-being. In other words, the richer is the nation, the higher is the consumption of red meat. Currently, most of working population of Kazakhstan prefers to save rather time than money. Therefore, many of them change their dietary habits. Thus, instead of plain boiled meat, people prefer roasted steaks, and their tables are full of various meat products such as sausages and so on. Semi-prepared foods are also in demand nowadays. In large cities like Astana and Almaty, more and more people give preference to semi-prepared foods. Of course, 90% of population buy fresh meat, freezes it in refrigerators, then takes it in small amounts and cooks. For example, steaks have become very widespread. According to the statistics, 70% of people in Kazakhstan buy everyday food products in shops near their houses. However, this is not the case for meat. Instead of supermarkets, many local residents buy meat at bazaars. Farm fairs, where goods are sold at cost or with a minimum markup, are becoming especially popular. Special shops, which as a rule are opened near farms and households, also help to save money. Experts recommend to buy fresh refrigerated instead of frozen meat, which in most cases is ultra-pasteurized and lost almost all its useful properties. For those who buy meat in market, experts recommend to require from sellers a veterinary certificate. It should have yesterday's or today's date. In addition, the animal's carcass should be stamped. Buying meat from sellers who refuse to show necessary documents is not advisable. Most of domestic consumers prefer meat produced in Kazakhstan. Our meat is also popular abroad and is supplied to Russia, Kyrgyzstan and China on a regular basis. It is worthy of note that China is considered the key outlet for exports of Kazakhstani meat. For reference, China imports about 2 million tons of red meat. We produce 400,000 tons of beef alone. Therefore, we should work very hard in order to supply by at least 20 to 30% the market which we can supply. I think that this will be our policy in the nearest 5 to 10 years. Why meat from Kazakhstan is so popular in neighboring countries? The answer is easy. This is an ecologically clean product. Local farmers do not use harmful additives for rapid growth of cattle. The world trend for today is focusing on organic food, which makes our agricultural products popular in foreign markets. Organic food is on trend all over the world. Because of that, this is our glory hour. The question is a proper presentation and positioning of our food in the global market. Thus, Kaznex, National Agency for Export and Investment, assists us in the development of our brand and its certification. I think that thanks to Expo, the world will learn more about our natural products, not only meat, but all agricultural products.
Животноводческой, растениеводческой продукции, сельскохозяйства.
Despite the fact that Kazakhstan is almost self-sufficient in meat, imported products are still present in the domestic market. More than 200,000 tons of meat products, mainly sausages and poultry, are delivered to the country annually.
По импортной продукции, в первую очередь, это вот особо следует отметить, это мясо птицы, которое...
The major part of imported meat products are poultry from America, Russia and Ukraine. We shall need several years to construct a poultry plant. For this purpose, we need a systematic approach and significant investment. Still, the work is underway and 3 large poultry plants are being built in Kazakhstan. As for other meat products, we import a lot of sausages because in the time of the USSR, major meat processing plants were located in Russia and Ukraine.
Традиционно большие мясоперерабатывающие комбинаты, которые раньше в Советском Союзе работали, они в России, Ukraine.
To saturate the market with domestic food products, a number of programs are being implemented in the country. For instance, Sybarga state program was opened 5 years ago. Farmers are provided with loans for purchasing breeding stocks and pedigree bulls for growing meat breeds. Agrarians get financing at 6% interest for a period of up to 10 years. In addition, Kulan credit program was set up. Its objective is to increase the number of meat and dairy horses. The state is taking special care about small enterprises. However, obtaining a loan is not so easy. To earn the state support, households should answer certain conditions. Currently, we are offering 2 programs. One of them is Agro Export. It offers loans from 50 million tenge with the interest of 8% per annum for permanent and working capitals. This program is focused on small and medium-sized business which already have some capital and experience and which want to develop and join new markets. The requirements for such companies are as follows. They should necessarily have forage reserves and their own farmlands. It is also necessary to have cattle houses in order to assure us that they will keep their cattle in good conditions and earn profit during 7 to 8 years. The agricultural sector in Kazakhstan is a strategic area. This year, the investment into it has increased. As a result, farmers expand their farmlands and manufacturers increase productive capacities and join new markets. This leads to the creation of new workplaces. In the meantime, people of Kazakhstan consume more and more domestic food products. At the end of the first 6 months of 2017, the investment to the development of the agricultural sector exceeded 114 billion tenge. This is almost 20 times more than in the same period of 2016. Despite the fact that meat consumption is increasing, as it is often said, by leaps and bounds, another trend can be observed in different parts of the world. More and more people abandon meat. For example, some restaurants started to prepare sausages, the main course of the German cuisine, without meat. This step was taken for the sake of vegetarian customers, who nowadays make up 8% of German population. In contrast to Europe, vegetarianism in Asia is widespread only in India, where almost 80% of population does not eat meat products. However, animal breeding plays a very important role in the country's agricultural sector. India is a top cattle-producing country. It is also known as one of the major milk and meat exporters. In other countries of the Asian region, meat consumption is increasing by more than 10% annually. Only in China, local residents eat more than 25% of meat produced all over the world, or almost 80 million tons. A good example is Korea, where people used to eat meat twice a year, on their birthday and on New Year's Day. Nowadays, the Koreans can afford themselves buying meat from different parts of the world at a price of $50 to $100 because this is a very rich country. Many Asian countries put emphasis on the development of meat products. Thus, Japan, Korea and China subsidize their farmers both at the beginning and in promotion of their products. Actively developing animal breeding sector attracts investors from all over the world. Only in China, farmers from New Zealand opened 3 pasture lands which brought about $200 million to the country's budget. Still, the US remains the world's top beef producer, which easily satisfies appetites of the local population. According to the statistics, each citizen of the US eats more than 125 kilograms of meat annually. Specialists calculated that if the consumption of meat products all over the world was the same as in the US, it would be necessary to produce almost 600 million tons of meat. The territory needed for growing of such number of animals will be equal to the size of Earth. Meat of Japanese Wagyu cows is the most expensive in the world. 100 grams of this delicacy costs $200. Farmers put these cows on a special diet. Along with that, animals do not stand on their legs. Instead of that, they are hanged on special belts in a relaxed manner in order to avoid unnecessary overstraining.